debugging.
Yeah,
I'll
somebody
pull up the
will.
stream and keep an eye on it.
Yeah, by the way, if y'all want to be in chat, this is streaming everywhere, but maybe try over on YouTube. Just go to, hold on, I'll share the link in Zoom.
All right.
So
We have the lives.
we are here. I think we're also, yeah, there we go. Just went live here. All right. And I'll share this over in the Zoom chat. Hi, everybody. By the way, if you are just tuning in, you have entered into technical troubleshooting, the That After Party. How many people does it take to try and figure out audio piping through 16 different platforms? Welcome. Clark is
My
echoing.
motto is every stream is a setup stream, and that's what we're here to do.
That is what we're here. We're not here to talk about that. We are here literally just for technical troubleshooting all day. We're tech people. This is what we're all about. All right. So we're live. We got 13 people in there. It may just be all of us. How's everybody doing? Happy post that.
Andrew, why don't you kill your chat? Then you won't be able to see. Kill the.
No, we're good. I can figure this stuff out. I can make
Pop
it
out.
separate.
Pop out your chat and move it to a different window.
Exactly.
Ross or Ellie, can you guys hear me? Because I'm the weird one that's got the looping.
Hey, Ross. I think everybody can be. Can you hear? If you're watching this, Clark is echoing. Is it bad echoing?
Damn it.
A little bit of echo, but not terrible echoing.
How about now? Does that? Oh, this is weird. Really weird. Does that change things?
That's better, actually. Sounds better to me. Yes, it's bad. Thanks.
Oh, good now.
Clark is better. There we go. Hey, we did it.
Hey, we did a thing.
Way to go, team. I'm assuming that's oh yeah, people can hear there's clapping going on. All right, we got there, everybody. It's 11:07, 1:07, 3:07. I don't even know what time it is where you are. But happy after that. Happy post that conference. We're like a week post conference. How's everybody feeling today? Are you feeling sad? Are you feeling happy? Are you feeling joyful? Where's everybody at?
Feeling a little tired, but feeling good.
Nice.
Yeah, same, Richard. I have been making sure since I got back to take time off every day after work and not focus on any code and actually do my other hobbies, which has been nice because I've been just like going all like 90 miles an hour for the past 2 months or so.
Mm-hmm. I was working on practicing my piano like all week. I was like, oh, I have to actually work on coding now.
Yeah. So maybe the best way to start this now that things are kind of up and running a little bit better is with two things. So thing the first, because we've got Zoom up and working now, if you are watching this stream, if you are here and you want to come on and be on video, y'all know where it is. Go into the That Chat on X. You can find the links in the calendar invite in there. And so if you want to jump on here, I'm watching on Zoom to just keep adding people into this conversation. Otherwise, maybe while we wait for people that might want to come on, and I think my good buddy PJ is gonna come on in a little bit too. Maybe just a round of introductions, who you are, where you're from, what you do, and like what your kind of that was. This your first that was this your like 19th that so Richard, you're first on my screen, so do you want to start like a little bit about you and yeah, your experience with that?
Sure. So I'm Richard, but you can call me Rich. This was my first STAT conference, and this was also my first experience on an airplane and a lot of other first experiences like a milkshake.
Wow.
And yeah, it was a very interesting experience to like, it was a range of experiences from like, oh, this is like familiar to, oh, this is not what I was expecting. So, that was interesting. And what else are we
No, it's great.
saying?
No, it's great.
Oh, okay.
Just let everybody know who we all are.
Andrew, I just got compared to a milkshake. I'm not sure what to do with myself.
You
It
just
was a
embrace
good
it.
milkshake. It was a really good milkshake. I just couldn't finish it all. It was a lot of milkshake. And like, I felt so guilty because Shashi bought it for me because he was like, "What? You've never had a milkshake before?" I'm like, "Yeah, I never had a milkshake before." He's like, I'm buying one for you." I'm like, "Okay." And then he bought it. I'm like, "It's a lot." And Andrew can testify, like it was a lot, and it was like, I'm like, "Oh my god."
Yeah. It was if you're gonna have a milkshake and that's gonna be your first one, it was quite the milkshake, I gotta say. So I'm impressed that he got as far through. There was literal, like, there were other baked goods inside of the milkshake. It was an endeavor. Absolutely. Just like all of the calories.
Should we introduce everybody to the Wisconsin Bloody Marys that are a meal in itself?
Oh, I feel
What
like
is a Bloody Mary?
Oh, let me find a picture.
20 that conference 2025. All right, well, we get up that. We can keep going through. I think Jim's next up there.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Jim Bennett, Head of Developer Advocacy at Pieces. It was my first that conference, not my first conference. Been to many before, but my first ever that. Definitely won't be my last ever that. Can't outdo the first milkshake, but it was my first cheese curds.
Really?
So, yes. In fact, well, my first of the kind of Wisconsin cheese curds. I've had like poutine in Canada, but kind of the fried cheese curds that you get in Wisconsin. It was my first time having those. And they were very good. I had them at a restaurant. They had a train that brought them to you, and they had lots of Star Wars Lego, and they were very, very good.
I love it. All right, so I love that this has really just become, what was this your first? You did something for the first time in Wisconsin. What was your first? People are going to be pulling out. Maybe this was your last. I don't know. We'll see. Brian, you're next. I mean, you guys can see on the screen. You guys know what the order is here, I think. Yeah.
Well, it's a little different for everybody. So
it's
yeah,
true.
it's the order's completely different. But yeah, my name is Brian Morrison. I'm a developer educator at Clerk. This is my fourth that conference that I've been to. I went to the Texas one last year for the first time. Fell in love with the community and the conference, and yeah, just love everything. Now, you want to talk about firsts? This is my first conference I attended in a mask. So if anyone saw the weirdo walking around in a mask, that was me, unfortunately. But hey, we went there. I was able to hang out with a bunch of people and see some friends, so it was still a good time.
Love it. All right, Kevin, you're up next.
Yeah, hi. If anyone doesn't know me, I make YouTube videos and talk about CSS. This is my second time going to that. I went to the Texas one previously, and it was my first time bringing my family to a conference, so that was fun. Definitely a different vibe, but it's cool having your family there, and that is the right conference to bring a family to if anyone wants to do that, because it was a lot of fun. I got to sneak away to the family track events sometimes and have some fun playing around with the kids, which was pretty cool.
Love it. All right. I think next up is, there we go. He knows.
But I'm laughing how modest Kevin is. I just made YouTube videos to talk about CSS. You Canadian. So, well, my name is Andres. Currently in Canada from Dominican Republic. I'm a software developer, open source maintainer, one of the projects for cross-platform Corona platform. This was my second that conference, was my first Wisconsin. I would say it was my first time speaking at that conference, so that can be a first, right? That counts as a first. So
Absolutely.
I went to Texas at the beginning of the year. I love the vibe. I love the community. I love the conversations, all the people I met, and then I applied and I got accepted my presentation. So yeah, I was presenting this first time in Wisconsin, and it was just amazing. So
yeah. Awesome. Vanessa, you're up next on my screen.
Awesome. So hi, I'm Vanessa. I'm a developer advocate at Pangea. It's a cybersecurity company. This is my third that conference. So I went to the Wisconsin one last year, and then the Texas one in this past winter. And then this is my next time in Wisconsin. But I didn't do a lot of water slides last time. So this time I did like the vertical one. So that was my first vertical water slide. So that was crazy.
Nate, you're up.
All right. My name is Nate. I am a DX engineer working at Synadia. New job, relatively new, last couple months here. And I've been to two that conferences now. So I went in January to Texas. I was a speaker there, and it was awesome.
And while I was on the job hunt, I was like, I'm not committing to any other conferences. And I got my new job and I asked for these dates off so I could make it to that Wisconsin. And it in the DX role, I might have more conferences in the future, but this one was way too short notice to get, company funding or anything. So I wasn't there in an official capacity. And it was like Kevin was saying, I brought my family and we just made a family vacation out of it. I got the PTO approved right away. My manager was like, yeah, absolutely. You're going to a tech conference, learn some things too. And having the family there for the water park and everything was just so much fun. Walking around the conference with my kids and like them seeing the bustle of, that conference and what that looks like. And then the robots. My son is like falling in love with robots because the high school robot club was there and he played ball with robots all night. And every day after that, he came up to me and he was like, Dad, where are the robots? Where are the robots? Because he was so excited to see and play with robots. It's just so many cool things, so many cool experiences for our family, and happy to be here.
Love it. All right, Sarah, you're next up on my screen.
Alrighty, hello everybody. My name is Sarah Shook, and I am a UI UX engineer at Hunter Industries. Kevin and Andres, y'all both said already what I was going to say. So first time speaking at that conference, and also first time bringing my family to a conference. And it was really cool because my 9-year-old got along really well with Kevin's kids. And so they were buddies and met each other. And she still talks about him now every day. Like she remembers him and everything. So it was a lot of fun. And yeah, same thing where my kids got to be involved with that conference. They got to come to dinner with me and sit with all the developers and make friends that, and it was just a really good experience. I went to that in January by myself, which was amazing for me, but it was a lot more fun with my family there. So.
Love it. Love it. Chris, you're up next.
Hey everyone, yeah, so that actually was my first stat conference. So yeah, beforehand and before my job now, I worked for the Commonwealth of Virginia, just doing stuff for the government. I did all WordPress stuff, so I did all WordPress WordCamp conferences, and then Render was actually my first besides maybe like one other tech conference, was the main conference. It was Render was the first one, and then at that. Yeah, so I loved it. I loved how there's just coming from a WordPress background, there was only like WordPress stuff. So it's good to see like React stuff and some like more cybersecurity stuff, just all over the board, different things like that. And since I've been back, just been working, and I made like a little sign that recap. This is like a joke. My cat's trying to hop up here. So yeah, that's basically in a nutshell.
I love it. I was gonna leave Clark and I to the end. But Clark is in here twice. He exists. I could hide myself, but no one can hide Clark Sell. It's impossible. He's so nice that they put him twice on this stream. Yeah, Clark. Oh, he's gone. He hit himself. Yeah, I mean, not that anybody doesn't know. I mean, if you're on the internet, if you're in the world.
Yeah, so my name is Clark Sell. This is my first at conference of the summer. Thank you all for being here.
All right, Josh, you're up next.
I like Clark's sweater, by the way. You got a good hoodie there.
Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Josh Ribeiro, so you can call me JB. I run a Christian developer podcast on YouTube called Code Fellowship, and also a Discord community. Prior to coming to that conference, Wisconsin, with my family, it was the first time, so it was like family vacation. I got laid off the Friday before we had to go travel. So I told my wife, I prayed about it as they were telling me, hey, we no longer need you anymore, blah, 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 all that fancy HR talk. And then the Lord just said, go. So I went. I was my first time speaking at that as well. I attended back in 2022. It was my first time going to any type of developer conference of any kind. And I fell in love with it and the mission, and fell in love with Clark as well as a person and what he's building out of that for many years. And a couple people this year told me, hey, submit a talk. And I did. So it would be my second speaking engagement this summer. I spoke at a local conference, and then this would be my first. So it's a very pivotal moment in my life as an engineer, a software engineer. And out of that, I got a bunch of interviews because I showed up and waiting on some next steps. I also decided to start my own consulting company as well, so I don't have to get laid off. I can lay off.
Let's
the
go.
companies. So that's pretty much it. I'm really excited to be here and just see where this conversation leads us.
Absolutely. All right. Baz, over to you.
Found my mic button. Thank you. Yeah, I'm Baz. I'm a software engineer at Miltenyi, which is a biotech company. And this has actually been my third DAT conference. I'm from Europe, and what should I say? It's just worth traveling all around the globe just for that conference. It's really great. And as for first times, yeah, I actually have two first time events at that conference. The first one is a slide with a toilet bowl at the end, which is you go down the slide and then you take a few spins around the bowl, and at the end you just fall out of that. I didn't knew that before when I entered that slide, but when I just arrived at that bowl, I was like thinking, well, that's not what's going to happen, is it? But it was. And after that, I took a short trip to the Wisconsin State Fair, which has been amazing and probably was one of the most of the funniest things I've ever done in the US. Yeah, they had a pig race and they had cattle all over the place, and they almost got recruited by the army, so that was fun.
I thought that you were going to end that in a different way. And then you made a trip to, and I definitely thought you were going to say the emergency room after the toilet bowl, but I like that it was the Wisconsin State Fair. I feel like that was definitely
no emergency room. Thank you.
All right. Twali, you're up.
Hello, I'm Bruno. This was not my first conference, but this was my first DAT conference, and yeah, it was amazing. And I'm from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, full stack developer there. Yeah, and yeah, my first conference there was amazing, and I made out good memories, made out of great people, and then I think I will be going again. Yeah.
I love it. Awesome. Roxy, you're up.
Hi, I didn't think I was going to make it today. I am currently in education. I'm a librarian, and I'm working on being a full stack developer. This was my second DAT conference, and I kind of started going to like kick my butt into gear to learn and network and everything. I'm shy. And then this is my first time in Wisconsin, and it was my first time stealing beer.
Love it. All right, over to you, Jason.
I got to unmute. Hey, it's Jason. And Jack's here too. He wanted to say hi to everybody. He saw all his that conference friends. There you go. Say hi.
Hi.
See, there's everybody. They're waving. Yep. Cool. Yeah, I got to talk. This is also my first DAT conference. I said it to Clark multiple times. It's hard to articulate in words like what the experience is like. You just have to go. It was amazing being able to spend that time with all of you and everybody else that was there. And then this knucklehead was pretty awesome. And he really loved all the kid track stuff as well. We spent a lot of time in the Legos.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There's like a tons of Legos.
There was a tons of Legos, guys.
I
You
think
heard it
there
here
might
first.
be, 10,000.
At least 10,000. All right. That's it. But hi, everybody. Good to see you again.
All right. Next up, you arrived just in time for the introduction round, PJ. We're just saying who we are, and what first time thing happened to you at that conference. Richard started us off. It was unexpected that we were going to be talking about firsts, but
yeah. All right. My name is Clark Sell. And I am the handsomest person at that conference. And no, I'm PJ Metz. this was my second that. My first one was in Austin, and this is my first time finally being in the Dells. I don't know, like it was I have this weird vision of what happened where like it's all this like blur of kind of like excitement and meeting people and hugging and shaking hands and like all these great feelings that it's kind of hard to look back and actually talk about anything in particular. For me, what meant a lot was the opportunity that you and I had, Andrew, to be like the online host of sorts, and the sort of trust that we were given to work within that realm and in the way that we did. So it was really cool to be on stage and to be able to, like, you know, do Mad Libs, which is so silly, and yet I was allowed to do it. To do Battle Decks, which was just a ton of fun. All of the stuff I got to do where I was like on stage and hosting and bringing something hopefully a little exciting for the people at home and a little bit for the people in the audience too. Like it was really cool, and it was very, I think something I feel like a lot of people have said, it was like validating, like being there and being able to talk and being able to see people. There's a sense of like, no, this is where I'm supposed to be. It's rare at that conference that I feel imposter syndrome. And I think that really speaks to the way that everyone interacts with each other. I don't get a feeling from other people that I'm not supposed to be there. I get a feeling from other people that obviously you're there. Obviously PJ's here. Of course you're here. You're amazing. We love you. And like that vibe is amazing community vibe. So hi, I'm PJ, and I talk too long.
Nah, you're not talking too long. Not at all. In fact, what do you do? You want to be on the main stage, bro. There's another link. Get on this main stage, man. Get over on this main stage. Get below us. Jump over here. Stay on the Zoom call, and then come over here on the main stage.
Add more links to your links. Get 7 video chats going.
Absolutely. This is how you
digital
roll.
channels. How could it go wrong? This is going to be great.
Things happened before. All right, we're not done yet because the one and only Stephen Troy is last on my screen. Stephen, give us a little intro to you. Who the heck are you? What's going on?
Hello?
Hey,
everybody
yeah,
hear me?
we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you. You're good.
Yeah. This was my first that conference, and I just got a chance to just enjoy the atmosphere. I got a chance to witness that conference in Texas. I translate into technology, and it was really appreciated. I liked Mark's keynote. I got a chance to meet Ted Dobbs. There was just so many people, even in the crowd right now, even in the live stream that I get to see. I got a chance to talk to, eat pizza with, share conversation experiences, and network, and to be able to have exposure to. And it was everything that it had in Texas, which I watched the live stream, but more so actually experiencing it there is way more impactful.
I love it. And I gotta say, if you're watching this, I'll introduce myself in a second, but what I love about this is just for anybody who's watching this and you're like, this is awesome, all these people got together, like people are coming off of like live streams with other people. Like I know Jim just jumped off a live stream. I'm pretty sure people like are jumping into podcasts like immediately after this. Like people literally, when we said that we were doing after that, I can tell you there's been a group chat that has been going on since pre-conference, and very seldom would you have a thing where it's like everybody tries to make space out of their day to like come and just like absolutely stan for a thing, just like to just showcase how awesome this conference is. So I think that's super amazing. Yeah, so my name's Andrew. I am a developer advocate at a company called DevCycle. And this was my first that I actually had registered to attend back in the previous summer, so I guess back in 2023, and wasn't able to go, and it absolutely gutted me. And I should have been gutted. The world was trying to tell me something, because then I went and now felt all the guiltiness, because I realized just how amazing this thing was. Ryan, you're saying it right. That is absolutely a killer conference. The vibes are uncontested. All right, so we've got a round of introductions. Lots of people are here. People are vibing. People are in chat. We got like a couple hundred people watching us in various places right now. Clark's pulling everybody up. I want to ask the question that I feel like needs to be asked, and it needs to be asked on every recap conference show that is out there. And the thing that I love about Zoom is this is like in classic that format of open spaces. I don't want to necessarily moderate things. I want to just y'all can unmute yourselves. We're all people. We have thoughts and feelings and ideas, and so do that. But my open space that I want to put out there, and then I feel like if y'all just over the next hour that we're together want to put out open spaces as well as we kind of do this here, I feel like this is a good way to do this. But why in-person conferences? We all just came back from an in-person conference. We've all been going to virtual conferences forever now. What does that help to showcase of the impact of in-person conferences? That's like my open space question of the day. Why in person? Why does it matter? Why should you give up a week of your life to go and hang out in Wisconsin with a bunch of geeks?
There's an obvious answer to this, right? Because it's amazing. I feel like everyone here has the same answer because it's an in-person conference, because we all remember 2019 and 2018 and the ability to hug people and talk to someone in person and to not have to deal with a frozen computer.
Really?
No, not really. I got everyone. I tricked all of you. No,
literally,
you don't
not
have
a
to
single
deal
soul
with that.
thought that you were frozen for a second.
Everyone thought I tricked the world today.
Everyone
but in-person's a vibe. It's a connection. It's a physical, real thing that happens between people that you can do online. There's a lot you can do online, but in-person's where it's at, man. It just feels better.
Well,
I'll say,
No, you go, Nate. I'll go after you.
To play devil's advocate before giving my answer here, I think for a lot of people, is the cost justified, right? That's the challenge, is getting to an in-person conference. You got travel, you got accommodations, and it's so much more difficult and expensive than, hey, there's some virtual events, there's a webinar, there's a stream. So I think a lot of people are kind of asking that question. Personally, for me, first off, it's about networking. To clarify, when I say networking, I mean relationships. There's a really, really good dude on Twitter. I forgot his name for now, but he says networking is just building relationships over a long period of time. And I think with that outlook and that perspective, if every relationship professionally is a potentially lifelong relationship, not best buddies or something, but I literally met people at PHP conferences 15 years ago that I still reach out to on Twitter when I'm in their city, and they give me recommendations on where to go and the sites to see. And that's not something you get from somebody you've only interacted with online. So for me, it's not a mutually exclusive thing or a necessity, because I've built stronger friendships on purely online interactions at the same time. The way I view it is they're all ways to level up in your relationship with people. And on Twitter, I do this using notifications. I reply to people's deep replies because I'm not scrolling the For You feed. I'm following a group of individuals more closely. But in person, there's a huge level up in that relationship where when you've sat with someone, you've shared a meal with them, you've had a conversation face to face. There's something about that that's fundamentally different and connecting, compared to any other type of communication we have today. And so until, maybe technology will get a lot closer at some point with perfect holograms or whatever, but there is no replacement to the exact dynamic of in person.
It's the hallway track, isn't it? It's the fact that there is no virtual hallway track. All the virtual events, they try and do a hallway track where you randomly bump into people, but it never works. Whereas at an in-person event, there's a free seat at this table, I'm going to sit down. And then before you know it, you've made a new friend.
Yeah, I'll go. So for me, I've gone to a couple of meetups in my local area, but when it came to that conference, the first time I went, I already knew several people from Twitter. I'd never met them before in real life, and I was so nervous to go. I almost like backed out because I like was having panic attacks about driving by myself down to the Austin Center and basically social anxiety. And as soon as I walked in the door, like you just like see somebody you know and everybody makes you feel welcome. And so the way that you connect with people, specifically for me at that, because I have gone to other networking events, but really that is special. And then even like Richard and we've been talking every couple of weeks, like for the past 6 months. We video call with each other and just do updates. And the fact that I got to like meet him in person and give him a hug after like having like after knowing him for so long online, it's just really it's a really great opportunity. But even if you're not like a Twitter person and you're just going into the conference, like you still feel really welcome. Everybody's just very friendly and supportive, and it's coming from somebody who works from home and sits at a computer for 8 to 10 hours a day, getting in, meeting people and being there in person, it really is a confidence and morale boost, both personally and then also going back to my job and feeling rested and ready to go and do more than I was before I left for that. So
I'll also say that there's opportunities for like networking even outside of the conference, right? So one of the things I've really enjoyed about that conference specifically is because it's kind of a multi-day thing where a lot of people come and hang out all together for several days on end. When the conference day is over, there's always a collection of people somewhere in the immediate area where you can kind of just go out and have a drink and hang out and get a meal or just talk about, stuff outside of tech, right? Talk about life, talk about what's going on, outside of what people will put on a platform like Twitter. So I love that vibe about the in-person style of things, because you don't get those opportunities when you're just chatting with people virtually.
Yeah, and I feel it's also a matter of immersion. So let's go on the learning side, not only the community, which all of you have already give good points, but when we are in a conference, we are attending, most of the time we are 100% into what the conference is providing. So you have your laptop open, there's a sample, you take your laptop, you code, you follow the samples, you follow the information, and after that you can connect with the speaker and continue the conversation. I don't know you, but most of us, we already working remote, and we have done a really good job at separating work from our life. But in terms of conferences, I do really bad. I put the conference on the back, and I try to do all the stuff at the same time that I'm attending the conference when it is online, and that doesn't work because our brains will not be able to process all the information, and also you'll be able to follow everything that the speaker is saying. And yeah, so I believe that being there, be immersed in everything that the conference is providing and the learnings, I think is a win. It's a better experience.
Yeah, I agree with Andres there. For me, it was my first time with my family, and it was a goal of mine after I attended in 2022. I remember I asked in the Slack several months ago about, how did people manage like family with that conference, etc. And then I have a really young family. Like my oldest is 6 years old, and then I have a 4-year-old, soon to be 4-year-old, and then my daughter turns 2 today. So after this, I'm gonna go celebrate life with her. But I was thinking in the back of my head as I was preparing to speak and also attending some of my friends that are here to support them. I was like, oh, my family, right? Like my family. So then what I did was I also like scouted, okay, what are some things that my kids can do? Or I told my wife, hey, just get out the room, take them to tomfoolery. This is keeping in mind that we don't have much funds because I got laid off. And I didn't even think about that. I didn't think about the repercussions of that. I just wanted them to remember this time. And every time I would go into the room, I would just cry with my wife, and I would express that that's all I wanted for them, right? I just don't want them to see the reality, but I want them to see their happiness, their innocence. And that conference, going to that conference this year has taught me how much more important my kids are than my career. because I was able to spend quality time with them. We went on the water slides and everything. And that to me was the most impactful thing that Clark could have enabled in my life, and something that God is also teaching me in this season.
There were so many. I feel like who else cried at that conference? Anybody? Yeah, I feel like there were a lot of like, and they're not like sad. I mean, they're sad tears, but they're happy tears. But I feel like I feel like that is also like the first time that many people have cried at a tech conference. So I feel like there's probably something to be said there. That is a very positive. The water slides of our hearts were opened. Thank you, Kalahari. I'm here for it. You're welcome, PJ. Listen, you think you could be the only one that does funny things on this stream? I got depth, my friend. Depth, and it doesn't involve fake pausing myself on a stream. Listen, y'all, the last time that PJ and I were on a stream with Clark, things got real unhinged. So it's probably good that you're all here just to keep things going. People got more to say, but I feel like, I mean, this is an open spaces, right? Like we're here to talk about what y'all want to talk about. So like we can keep talking about what I want to talk about, but like I kind of got to do that for like 4 days in Wisconsin. So what do y'all want to talk about? Or what do you want to talk about, chat? Like we got like 200 people watching us right now. What do you want to hear about? Why the heck are you here? I mean, you're here for a reason. I mean, maybe you just want to like feel the vibes, and we're here for
Why
it.
are you watching us right now? What are you hoping to get out of this chat?
Yeah,
What do you need?
What do you need? But yeah, anyway, take it, like unmute yourself, like just take the lead, take a jump, or don't. We can just all stare awkwardly into a camera.
I think it was pretty. Oh,
No,
sorry.
go ahead.
Okay. I thought it was pretty neat to find like the weird tech niches. So like I was like, I sometimes have to do presentations for tech in Spanish. And I was like, is there tech meetups that meet in Spanish? And then I talked to Andres and he was like, yes, we have a Python meetup. We do presentations. Sometimes they're in Spanish. And I was like, awesome. That's super, super sick. This is what I need. This is what I need to practice. I need to go listen. I need to go learn in order to get better at that skill set. And then I was just hanging out at the water park and someone was saying like, oh yeah, I do like tech plus agriculture stuff. Like I do tech and agriculture. I was like, what? That's exactly like what I want to do with the rest of my life. Like, where have you been? Can we talk? Like, can I get you on Twitter? Can we chat later? So it's just finding those weird little intersects where like, this is exactly what I wanted to learn. How did I not know about you beforehand? Kind of thing.
I love it.
Yeah, to bounce off of that, I would say that open spaces was definitely eye-opening for me because like I was not expecting to see like such a variety of topics. Like there was a locksmithing next door. I was so tempted to go over there because I'm like, that looks really interesting, but I'm also really interested in the table I'm currently at right now. Like we were talking about education and AI. I'm like, I'm so into this conversation, but like right there, over there, like a couple tables over there, that looks really fun too. And so like that was because like I had no expectations going in. I'm like, oh, what is an open space? And Shashi's like, oh yeah, so you just kind of just choose a topic and people just join you. I'm like, oh, that's it. It's like a tiny conference, kind of like a meetup.
I love it. I love it. So speaking of this Shashi gentleman, I don't know who he is. But like some dude just showed up. He's got a name that's similar to that. I don't know what he's doing here. I don't know who gave him that link, guys. I thought this was a private chat, but here we are.
I invited him. I thought he was really cool, and I said he needed to come through.
Come through. All right, Shashi. So we all did introductions before, and we introduced you as well. We actually said there's this guy. He's always late to things. He's kind of in tech, but not really. He works for this weird little startup.
Does the audience know that you're our dad?
So the audience doesn't know, but I feel the level of that meme continuing for the rest of my natural life on the internet.
That dad. That's correct.
Dad. I'm getting a hat made. But yeah, who the heck are you? What are you doing here? Why? How? And no, that's not the question. The real question is, and Rich started this out. Who are you? What number that conference was it for you? And what was the first? There must have been something that was a first time for you at that conference. And it can't just be like enabling first times for Rich, because that's you and you.
I did a lot of those.
You did.
I am Shashi Lo, senior UX engineer at Microsoft. This would be my fourth that. The first that I attended was in 2015. I didn't even know Clark back then. I saw him on stage, but I was too afraid to go talk to him. But then after that, I've been to this one and the two previous Texas one. This is my second time speaking at that conference, and it was amazing. And my first, see, guys, I've been in Wisconsin. I was born and raised there and everything. I did all that stuff already. So it's hard to find one, but I'd say it was my first time knowing like at least, I'd say like 40 or 50 people there at a conference. And it was easier to kind of jump in, talk to people, move around the conference, because I knew majority of, enough people where it wasn't just one or two. There were several people I knew from different that were walking around and speakers and whatnot too. So it was enjoyable because it was like I was just hanging out with just a bunch of friends. It was like a family reunion.
Hey, yo, there it is. I love that. Oh, the love. We're all going to cry by the end of this. If we're not crying, we're not doing our job. That, I feel like, is the message. No, Mika, you're not late. You can never arrive late. You're always here exactly when you were intending to be. That, never late. Never late. Yeah, jump over to the Zoom link. I mean, you technically could come on here, but things get confusing. But yeah, jump into the Zoom link that's there. Okay. So he's been staying really quiet, but I feel like we need to get a little bit silly now. So Jason Torres, when I met him, we were having a conversation, and I was like, man, you're like the most Midwest accent that I've ever heard, like the most Wisconsin accent that I've ever heard. And I have a question for anybody that has met Jason. Who here would also have believed on first meeting Jason that he was from Wisconsin? So it's me and Tracy Lee. We were the two that said it like back to back. Does Jason not have a Minnesota accent? That's one that I was going for. Does Jason?
Well, like, what does a Minnesota accent sound like? Because like I'm trying to like imagine what that
Hey,
sound
Shashi.
like.
Yes, me. Yeah. I'm born and raised in
don't you know?
Wisconsin. I lived in Minnesota for 16 years. I'm in Texas for
Minnesota.
5. Minnesota. You betcha.
I don't know, like when I talked to Jason, I wasn't really thinking about the accent. I was just thinking like, oh, it's so cool to finally meet my friend who I've met online. Like I wasn't really thinking like, oh, he speaks in a particular way. So I don't know.
That
Like,
sounds terrible, but I was shocked at how tall he was. That caught me by surprise.
I get that a lot.
I agree. That the height was more of what I was.
This is something that happens to me all the time because I also expect to be way taller than like everybody because I'm 6'6". And then I meet someone and they're like 6'3", and I'm like, oh no, like you're getting close to me. Stay back. Like I need to be the biggest person in the room a lot of times, Jason, I didn't notice your accent. I feel like you need to talk. Tell me about Hot Dish or something.
Hot Dish. I don't even know what that is. I was shocked by the accent thing because I have been told that I guess Western New York does have an accent. We say like Rochester.
Yeah.
I don't pronounce it like that. So that was a little shocking. I will say I was surprised at how tall Richard was.
Same here.
Richard is so tall.
That was pretty shocking.
When me and Chris and Wiki met Richard and he stood up, we're like, oh! And then immediately we're like, are you taller than Jason or not?
I think I
And he
beat him
was,
by
a little
a
bit.
tiny bit.
So-
Yeah, like honestly, I forget how tall I am sometimes too.
So I wasn't coming for you, Jason. I really wasn't. I kind of was, but I wasn't really. I actually had a segue
you're
there.
fine.
I had a segue there because the segue was this. Now, the more important thing about meeting Jason was, first, it was nice to meet somebody from Minnesota. It was really great to meet somebody from Minnesota while I was at that conference. But more importantly was conference talks. Obviously, we're talking a lot about the love here, and there were some great conference talks that happened here too. And it was like the first time meeting Jason it was like we discovered, maybe this wasn't the first time, but one of the conversations I remember is we had our conference talk scheduled at the exact same time, and Jason gave like a preview on day one, and I was like, I think I might have to step out of my conference talk to go to somebody else's. I was gonna leave you there, PJ, because I really wanted to go see. And so this is my segue into favorite conference talk of that Wisconsin 2024. What was your favorite conference talk that you attended? Or I mean, it could technically be that you delivered. Yeah. So take it away. Who best conference talk?
I will go first. I think my favorite one was Jason's because all of us here, most of us here, were there. So then we took selfies. He gave us a little the connection passport thing, and I thought it was really cool. And then we got like awesome pens. I got one with the little T-Rex on it. I couldn't figure out how to write because it's like this weird cover thing that was on it, but I got figured out. That's the only complaint that I have, Jason, from a developer experience standpoint. We need more developer friendly pens. And then yeah, I thought it was really cool. He was really engaging, and he dressed up really cool. I was like, what is this guy wearing? Like, he had some style, some pizzazz. I was like, yeah, he's definitely from New York. But it was really awesome.
Some Riz.
I'm gonna say the pen's a skill issue.
Yeah, and this was and I'm curious because we talked about this a lot. This was your first talk too, right? At a conference?
Yeah. I gave I can't troll you anymore, Andrew. It's
I mean,
too
you
hard to
can.
be
No,
this
we're
low. It's too hard to be this low on my camera. It's hurting my legs. Yeah, it was. I had given a pre-render talk at an Atlanta JavaScript meetup with Chris Nowicki. So that was kind of like my first toe dip into the speaking in the tech industry. But this was my first conference talk, and I will be 1,000% honest. I had a full-blown panic attack at like 3:55 because it was like there. It was real. It was happening. There were people in the room already. And James Quick, who was at the talk as well, he said, "Did you do your Superman pose yet? You know, the stance everybody knows." So I'm back out into the hall, almost wet myself, did the Superman pose, went in, and it was fine. It was fine. So yeah, it was. The nerves don't really ever go away, I'm told, but it gets easier to manage. And I felt really good afterwards. So it was like kind of stepping out of the comfort zone and putting that foot forward and just doing it, doing the thing.
Love it. Yeah, I've never been so sad that somebody's talk was so good, but also so happy that they're like, I was jealous. I wanted to be in your talk. I saw those photos and I was like, dang, they were good. If you haven't seen these photos, there's a lot of if you're watching this stream and you're like, you have no idea where you are, you're safe, you're in a welcoming, warm, awesome place. Don't worry, it's gonna be okay. You've fallen into a zone of hug love. And we're talking about conference talks. There's photos out there. I think there's videos out there of some of these talks as well. Go and check them out. They're really good. And you can see the like smiles, the joy on all of these faces here. PJ Metz throwing up his hand like a good teacher / student.
Hi, I'm PJ Metz. And I have a question. Well, I have a statement. So I got to bounce in about 7 minutes, but like when Jason was talking about like being so nervous before the talk and like he said something and then he's like, the nerves never go away. And I think that that's like such a good thing to know as a speaker. Like, it doesn't matter when you're giving a talk, what level of experience you are. If you're not at least a little nervous before the talk, you're probably not doing something that's terribly interesting. And I think you have to like allow yourself to be nervous. I think a lot of people think, oh, how do I get rid of the nerves? How do I get rid of the jitters? And I feel like my answer is like, don't let them happen, and let that be the kind of like note to you as a person. You are doing something unique and you are doing something that's a little bit scary. But that's why in that, when you make a profile on that, you pick like an inspirational quote or something that you can put in your profile. And when they were showing all the profiles at that conference on the boards, it would be your picture, your name, your title, but then whatever your motivational quote was. And mine is be afraid and do it anyway, because there's no such thing as doing something that you're not afraid of doing and it being worth it to you. Like, growth hurts and growth is difficult and change is hard to deal with. And the moment you think, well, I want to change and I want to be better and I want to grow, but I don't want it to be difficult, that's not the mindset. It's going to be difficult. You're going to be scared. You're going to be nervous, but you feel all those things and you do it anyway. Bravery is not the absence of fear. It's overcoming the fear that you have. And I think that everyone who thinks about giving a talk that goes, oh, I could never do it. I get so nervous. So do I. So does Andrew. Andrew and I, just before we went on stage in Berlin, we're kind of like looking at each other like, okay, this is real. Okay, we're going to do it. Okay. I was listening to like metal 30 minutes beforehand, like jumping around the speaker room, trying to hype myself up. I was terrified. Before that conference, I was super scared. I was standing out in the hallway trying to get more people to come to the talk. You have to know it's gonna be a little bit weird and difficult. And then you have to go do it, because that's where you grow and that's where you get better and that's where you improve. So anyone out there who hasn't given a talk before, anyone who out there who hasn't done this yet, know that like even experienced speakers are not just sitting around going, like, I'm not scared. I'm not scared. Every speaker is scared. We're all scared all the time. Come and join us and be scared and do it anyway.
I think my favorite example of this is, or same message really, but Shonda person has I forget if it was a talk at that conference or if it was a video online that I saw, but she talks about do it scared. And that's exactly what you're just hitting on. It's like, you're going to be scared, do it scared. And that's the motto. And yeah, many facets of tech, we're all required to do that from time to time.
So the first time I ever did a talk, the day of, I threw up twice because I was so nervous, and I thought it was so awful. And so I ended up going up there and doing it, and it wasn't the best. But my favorite quote kind of relates to a little bit, and it's, sucking is the first step to getting sort of good at something. So even if you go up and you have like the bad talk, that first time, like, yeah, you're going to want to improve on things. Even when I spoke this time at that, I like look back and I'm like, oh, I should have done this differently. But now I know I did it. Now I have notes as to why, what I can improve on. And then also, whenever you're talking about a topic that you get really involved in and like that you're really passionate about, it makes it so much easier because you can just talk about it. You don't necessarily have to be reading off slides or a script. You have that knowledge and you have that passion so that it's easy for you to keep going. And so, yeah, do it scared, and then also just do it and then improve upon it every time thereafter.
Yeah, hands are up. Look at all you great students. And I feel like the first hand needs to go to Mika, because Mika's just arrived. So take it away. You can also introduce yourself if you'd like to, who you are and what your first go. Anyways, take it away. Take the stage.
Okay, I'm gonna take it away, but hopefully not for too long. Hey everyone, I'm Mika Rodriguez. This is my second that. First one was here in Texas. I live in Austin. Had to travel a little farther this time, but it's totally worth it. Like, that Texas convinced me that I needed to go to Wisconsin. And I'm so glad I did. I got to reconnect with a lot of old faces and meet a lot of new ones, and I'm so grateful I did. And I raised my hand to talk about my favorite talk, and that's so unfair. I can't just pick one, but I want to shout out a few people who are here, and this is not just like lip service. I really mean it. Sarah, your talk was awesome. I'd been anticipating your talk about decoding colors for months, and I learned so much, and I was super glad to be there for that. And then somebody who isn't here, I think their name is Ray Ekman. Ray Ekman gave a really awesome talk on machine learning and bias. And I could tell that they had some fear, that they were a little bit of nervous, but It was so good. They spoke about something really important. A lot of it wasn't as focused on machine learning or the code, but it was kind of talking about like bias from a historical perspective and talking and kind of looking at it through the lens of like education and policing. And they touched on like some really deep, heavy topics that are really important. And I was just in awe because, you know, for me to like get up and stand up in front of a crowd and give a talk just in the first place would be so scary, but to like really, you know, touch on some important social issues, I was floored. So I don't know if that talk was recorded, but it was really good. I think that you could probably find their slides or you can ask me for them. And then lastly, one of my very favorite talks, honestly, was Andrew and PJ's talk. It was so much fun. And it was really tough because I wanted to go to their talk and I wanted to go to Jason Torres's talk at the same time. And we were even talking about doing a Twitch raid on Jason's talk, you know, because Andrew and I were talking, we both wanted to be there. But I'm really glad I showed up for Andrew and PJ's talk because we were talking about education. I had a lot of conversations around education, developer relations, and just like kind of the intersections of I don't know, lots of things with education, and was really inspiring. And I'm really glad I got to connect with you guys. All right,
Mika, your check's in the mail. Your check is in it's Canadian dollars though, so just be prepared for that.
Oh, I'm so excited to see what those look like.
So we're around the hour, and so I know we got a lot of people that have got their hands up now, and I know there may be some people that have to drop off and stuff as well, and so I'll let you kind of control yourselves if you kind of got a piece and stuff like that. Like you can jump on and just be like, oh, I gotta go, but I want to say something. But Kevin's been super quiet, but not because Kevin is quiet. It's because Kevin is a polite Canadian as well, just waiting his turn. Kevin, take it away.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, just really quick, a few things there just with people talking about how it can be scary to talk. But I just want to say, like, one awesome thing with that conference is how Clark gives a lot of people, like first-time speakers, their chance to talk, which is always really good because it can be hard to get that first one in. So if anybody's looking for getting their first talk, and I know he already gets like way too many applications for speakers, but it might be if you've never spoke before and it's something you're thinking of, you know, send something in. And he also offers to help people with their talks, even if he says no to them, which is really cool. And you can take him up on that to like, why did he say no? And get feedback on your proposal and other stuff like that. And if talking is something you're scared of, I'd really encourage people to do it. The best piece of advice I ever got is, as scary as it is, like everybody in the room is rooting for you. Like they want you to succeed. So like, even if you're making mistakes, even if whatever, it doesn't matter. Like everybody's there to help you out. I had some live coding issues on mine. Audience got me through it. And I still get nervous doing them. People are always surprised. Like they're like, you have a huge YouTube channel and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but I talk to my camera. I don't talk in front of rooms of people. Right. So it's a little bit different there. But yeah, I would just, if anybody who is listening to this has ever thought about it, even if it's our local meetups or whatever it is, I'd strongly encourage it because it's a really fun thing. And just, yeah, thanks everybody for having a good time. I'm going to be having to run any minute now, so thanks for letting me in. But thanks, Clark, for putting everything together, and I had a really good time, and I'm looking forward to attending future conferences as well.
So as nice as Kevin is, he stole my piece of advice. So I'm putting my hand down.
Always the Canadians.
All right, yeah, Chris, JB, Bruno, whoever wants to take the lead, go nuts.
I'll go. One of the things I think that makes me nervous at conferences is I continuously forget people's names, especially if I don't know them on Twitter beforehand. Like, I'm just like, I think it's like, oh, hey, Richard. And it's like, it's Andrew. And this guy has told me 5 times, whatever. And so you get to the point you just don't want to say people's names. And it's funny, on top of what Kevin was talking about, the people root for you. I think one thing that helped me with public speaking, this was years ago, I went to this prison ministry and I got up and said like one little thing, and the people are not rooting for you, so not always. Well, it was crazy, but yeah, sometimes yeah, that was interesting. People were just kind of staring out in the crowd, and they just were interested in anything I had to say. But yeah. So that was. I've given speeches before. I don't know if I have any tips except do more. Be my only tip. I've never done it at a conference, but always like the networking ones. But sometimes those ones, they're like local town networks, can have like 30 people. So, and some of that ones were about 30. So
I love it.
That's it for me.
Chris. Yeah, JB, Bruno, go nuts. Whoever wants to take it away.
Yeah, mine was more of a question. For you who gave their first talk at the conference, first of all, congratulations, you all did great. So I was curious, what made you guys choose the topics you gave us your first conference talk? Did you have a list of the different topics and the ones you chose were your favorites? Or yeah, I'm curious.
Ooh, it's a good question.
Can I say well, for me, I'm gonna start with that one. We can continue after me. So for me, it was a topic that I was very, very, very into it. So I found there's somebody have made a few Twitter threads or X threads where they ask, what is something that you can talk about for 30 minutes? Answer that question and get that at your first presentation, because it's something you like. It's something that you have some experience. It's true that you're going to have to do some investigation. You're going to have to organize your ideas. But at least you're going to start with something that you already like. It's not that you prepping a presentation for somebody. It's like you prepping a presentation for yourself, like organizing, seeing how much you know about that topic that you like so much.
Yeah, I will also preface this too. My topic is something that I'm passionate about. Right? I'm passionate about UX engineering, using data to make better solutions and process and stuff like that. And like Andreas was saying, it's when you can talk to somebody, like Bruno, if we talk, right? Hey, tell me something that you're really into. If you're gonna find something in the back of your head and you're just gonna talk about it, that's your topic, because you're passionate about it and you can talk about it for days on end, right? But yes, you might have to go do research to figure, get some more details and data. But those are the things that you can talk about. And I think the great thing about that is it doesn't have to be a technical talk, right? Chris Nowicki did a productivity talk, and he's trying to break into engineering, but it wasn't about tech at all. Well, it was somewhat, but it was more about your mental health and all that, right? So that's the great thing about that. And then also, it's awesome that Clark actually says, hey, if you need help with your CFP, come ask me. I will tell you what I need. And he will go down, drill it. And he's always like, I offer my services, but I only get like, 2 people that take it on. Like if you really want to talk at a conference, like go to Clark. He'll help you, he'll guide you and everything. He'll get you down the right path. And then more than likely, your talk will be chosen because he's the one, that's gonna be behind choosing it as well and helping the team choose it. So I think that's the best thing. What Clark offers is not just an opportunity to talk, but it's an opportunity to say, hey, like if you need help, if this is your first time, my services are available. You just let me know. I'm available for you. I'm gonna help you, guide you through your CFP so that we can get a constructive outline down and whatever you need.
Maybe
let me jump in real quick. Yeah, just because Sashi said I'll help somebody, that's not a way to game the system. That does not give you extra kudos to get you in. I will help you, and I don't care whether it's that conference or something else. But I want to tag on to what was said, because I think there's a few things that are relevant to today's world that some people aren't really thinking about. One, when it comes to speaking, because I absolutely love the question that I think it was Steven gave. One, don't speak on things that you can already Google, especially right now. Like the amount of content that is online today, you need to think about your in-person experience and what you uniquely have to bring to it that is right for the medium of which you're in at that point in time, right? And we can put content online. I'll just use like intro stuff. Like Intro to React is great online. Like there's 1,000 there's 1,000 of those. So if Sashi's going to give an intro to React, like that's sort of useless, right? Because we can Google that. Now, if Sashi's got something that's really deep in the intro to React land that makes him uniquely kind of poised to give that in the context of, you know, being in person, then that's the unique kind of special spot sauce as to why we all kind of get together. The other side of that is, don't speak about things that you think the organizer wants to know or you think the conference wants to know. You should be thinking about things that have heart and meaning to you, because you're there giving the gift that you have. Like, I am not looking for somebody who is necessarily technically a really good speaker and can just go learn about something and speak on it because they think they're filling a gap in the industry. When those threads kind of deviate, because you're the person who's kind of giving that gift to everybody else. So if it deviates and your answer is, I don't know, or your answer is, yeah, let's go to this table or the hallway and let's explore that further. That's where the passion and the things start to connect with one another. And all too often, I think people get into this loop of like trying to play a game to get connected or get the ticket, when not really looking at the fact that like it's the whole ecosystem in harmony together, right? Sometimes you're a speaker, sometimes you're not. It doesn't mean anybody's less valuable or not. More people get denied than get accepted. Everybody still has something to give. So you just, you know, stick with the things that keep you up at night, stick with the things that are passionate, that you're passionate about with. But much in like Chris's situation, when he started, he was very narrow, focused on a very small segment of things. And it wasn't until he backed out that he realized, oh, there's a whole bigger like framework of things I could give that really I could then build upon, that I could speak in other places. And these are the pieces that would work online. And these are the pieces that work in person. And then you start like really kind of hammering on the things that we're all uniquely able to do in those mediums of which you're kind of in the point in time. All to say, don't be what you can Google.
Yeah, that's
JB,
so true.
JB, take it, man. You've been
No,
so
you're good,
patiently
you're good.
waiting. You're good.
No, you're good. Clark literally stole a portion of my answer because it was giving credit to him, but he's Clark, right? We got it. So that's something that actually I meditated on when I was one of those like few people that took Clark's invitation, not to build my CFP, but to put together my talk. Like, what should the structure of my talk be when I'm gonna give it? I called him. We got together probably like a week before. I spoke at Nebraska Code, which is a local developer conference here, and that was my first speaking engagement. And what I did was I took advantage of that, and I took a GoPro. I recorded myself. I did not upload it because that was going to be to analyze my talk to see where my awkwardness was, what can I improve. My talk was engaging as well, but at that it was a lot more engaging because I noticed some of the flaws, and I made my wife watch it because she is not a developer. The whole talk had nothing to do with development. It was a soft skills about leadership that doesn't require a title, something that I'm passionate about. It's a theme that I've noticed. And that conference, every talk was an experience, not necessarily something that you can Google. What's so funny is even people at Nebraska Code and at that conference is like, have you ever read that book? Or do you know this person that talked about, like, they thought that I read these books and put a talk together in some way. I take no offense to it, but I felt good because what I gave was based off of my experience in the military, growing up as a kid in the ghetto, not doing drugs or any of that stuff, and really focused on my craft growing up. I took all those experiences and I culminated into a little tiny talk for 60 minutes. And is nothing that you can Google, and is nothing you're going to read in a book, because it's about my experience on leadership, where I didn't have a title to be a leader, or I didn't have this perceived notion of value. The value is brought through my expertise, my confidence, and the humility, which was the 3 points that I touch upon in my talk. And I think Clark, for just that snippet of advice, was enough for me to be able to feel confident. But I was nervous. I was like super nervous when I got to there. I was like chatting with people, like pre-talk conversation and stuff, and that helped me. And then one thing that helped me too was I love how Tim Cook always opens up the keynotes. So I did that. I imitated that and actually released all the stress that was lingering. And then I was able to get started with my talk. But every single talk at that was not about how much you know and what you don't know. It's about what's an issue that you experience and how did you solve it, whether it's technical or soft skill.
And I believe, I remember our conversation, and I remember telling you, and I've said it to others too, like our stories they're ours, right? People are coming to fill their bucket. I mean, it sounds terrible, but I'm not good with words. Like, we're not famous. Nobody gives a shit, right? They're coming there to fill their bucket, to learn more. And our stories, our experiences are the backdrop to the value and the framework that we're trying to give, right? And often we get hung up on our story, which is great, but it's like Chris, like Joshua, like those putting the value to them, putting the framework which somebody can follow, and then using your experience to back it up. That's where the special comes in.
Yeah, and I think also for my talk, the second biggest challenge that I had was making the audience the hero of the story.
Right.
And
exactly.
That's always a challenge, I think, even with any type of talk and even keynotes. Like when I went to the keynotes, the first one was with Kent C. Dodd. I was like, this is one of my heroes, one of the people that I found out about online when learning React and stuff like that. But the whole keynote had nothing to do with React. It had something to do with something I needed to know in my life in that week, where I was dealing with layoff, when I was dealing with the unknowns. And when he just gives a talk about, this is the attitude that you should have, and this is the motivation that should drive you, I was like, thank you, Lord, for providing this keynote. And then comes Mark Texan, another one. You see, it's not about their technical knowledge. It's really about the experience. And they were really good at making you the hero of that experience that they were giving.
So the teacher in me sees all of these quiet students. So thank you, by the way, GB. Thanks, everybody. I see these quiet students that are sitting there. They think they're going to get away with not having a chance to talk. Jim, I see you, Roxy. I see you, Mika. Like, I know you're sitting there and you're like, I'm gonna be able to pass this class without having them to say. But you guys got things to say, and so I know one of the things. And if you're watching this, by the way, and you're like, man, this is like, I would love to be on one of these things, but I'm freaking nervous to be there. Don't be nervous. This is like, we're having a conversation live stream to like 1,000 people right now, which is kind of wild. Like, Clark's got like 600 there. We got a bunch of people over on YouTube. People are chatting here. People care about what you have to say. They care about your opinion. They care about your thoughts. Just to freak everybody out here who is feeling a little bit anxious. There's only 1,000 people watching. Somebody said this to me, or who said this? Mark said this, actually. Mark said, he's like, we're all really sad when we like do a live stream and 2 people show up. But if 2 people walked into a room right now where you were doing something and like watched you just like, and you would be like still kind of freaked out, but you'd be like, sick, 2 people want to watch me. And like, we have way more than that are kind of here and engaging and having these conversations now. So yeah, just to open up the space for some of our folks that haven't necessarily found the space to kind of say something. Yeah, take your shot. We got a little bit of time. I scheduled this to kind of go until whenever we all decide we want to leave, or we all have to leave, or ultimately whenever Clark clicks the stop button. Yeah, folks, like, take it away. This is our space. This is your space. This is that space.
Yeah, I want to just actually dig into something Danger mentioned in the chat. And he said, yeah, 101 level intro talks are not useful. I've been doing this for 6 months. Here's what I've learned and what you should avoid. I think that's a really good way if someone wants to talk at a meetup conference and they're not sure what to talk about. It's give us your real world stories. What problems have you hit and how did you solve those problems? That way we can really understand when we come across those same problems. You know, it's not about here's a 101 level talk on something. It's, yeah, this is what I learned. This is the things I failed at. I think that idea of I hit a problem, I failed is a very important message in a talk, because you can look at some of these speakers, these world-class speakers, and go, wow, they're so perfect. Everything they do is amazing. They're so great. But really, they're just humans and they make mistakes the same as everyone else. And so just having that ability to look at, these heroes that you see all the time on social media, and they're going, yeah, this is how I screwed up badly. This is how I took down production and what I learned from it. It really humanizes these people. And you kind of, they kind of go from this kind of celebrity status to just another developer. So if you've got these kind of stories of how Jim once took down BNP Paribas in Oslo by accidentally updating a C# script wrong, to make a random example, that shows that, yeah, we all make mistakes and we can all learn from these mistakes. It very much humanizes everybody.
And to like back up what you're saying and what Danger said, there's a reason we got to where that's relevant today. And that is there's now a lot of content online. Right? Like the 101 is done by a lot of the product people who made the thing, and it's freely available. And you can watch it on TikTok and YouTube and Twitter and blah, 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 blah. And so the value of you bringing that is just redundant and creates noise in the system, which means when somebody's physically there, right, they're spending time and energy to be there, and you're sharing those experiences, then just reinforce what everything else has already been there. And it's just how we've kind of adapted in this industry over the past 20 years. And I just want more people to like, it's not bullshit. Like there's a method to this madness to add value back. And that's the, I don't want to call it the science, but the reality of where we sit today.
And for those folks who are thinking, oh, but I'd love to do a 101 level talk, really the place for that is a workshop, because there is an opportunity in a workshop, because there are folks who want to learn how to do React, have never done React before, and they want that ability to sit down with an instructor, talking them through the basics. So workshop day is great for those folks who want to do a 101 level talk, because that is where someone is going there to learn a particular skill. But when it comes to actually giving conference talks, not, as you say, not the right place.
I would like to chime in here, and I want to say that I think it also comes down to the core of what that conference represents. It's that human element. It's that like connection of like that focus on community and getting to like make friends and just getting to eat lunch together. Like one day during the conference, I was grabbing lunch because I didn't have the lunch pass for the ticket, and then I was passing by Kent, and I'm like, oh hey, it's Kent. You did that keynote yesterday, and we just started chatting, and then all of a sudden we're friends, and I have a selfie with him. It's like that kind of element. It's just something that you just can't find in other places. Like I've been to meetups before, and it's just not the same in terms of the atmosphere and what the tone is.
Yeah, it's really just to add on to what you're saying, and it reminds me of an experience. So I gave away some of the tickets as well for my podcast listeners, and one of them actually made it. His name is Sean, if he's watching. You're awesome, Sean. And he was so awesome because he showed me what it is to be a simple person in life. And even though that his ticket did not include for food, he went made like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches most of those days, and he came and sat down. Boss was actually at the one of the tables, and Nick Nissy, and he would just sit down and eat and talk. Stephen Troy was there as well, and I thought that was like pretty awesome. That shows how much, right, the value of that conference meant to him as he was going through the talks, as he was going through the hallway having conversations, and even just sitting down, not partaking in the same delicious meals, but being able to care so much about that human connection and making lifetime friendships. So much that it moved me when it was pig roast time. I went to go purchase a band for him so that he may enjoy a meal and to pay it forward. I think that conference also allows that pay it forward attitude. And I don't just say this to exalt myself. I say this because I want to encourage all of us to pay it forward. If you go to the next stat conference, whether it's in Texas or Wisconsin, find someone and pay it forward. It's going to mean so much to that person, but it's also going to teach you and bring you so much value to your experience.
Love it. All right. We're not letting you get away. Baz, Bruno, Roxy, Mika, Steven, like people are, we want you to, Sarah, like, get on here. Say something. You don't need to say anything, but I want to create that space. I want to hold that space for everybody. I got lots of questions.
I'm here for the chat room, guys. So
the chat. I love it. So yeah, go ahead, Mika.
I popped a question in the chat. Maybe this is like the teacher and me like picking on everyone in the room. I don't know if we can all go around, but I was thinking about it whenever Jim was talking about bringing your personal experience, and I was like, well, Jim, what would you give a talk on? Like, will you ever give a talk at that conference? And then I just wanted to extend it to everybody else and ask, what are you going to talk about at the next that conference if you spoke at this one, or if you were theoretically going to talk at that conference, what would you talk about?
I can jump in with that if you want, seeing as you directed at me. So there's a talk I submitted to DevRelCon, didn't get accepted, but I'd be tempted to submit to that conference, which was about sorry, where there's a weird lag on the YouTube stream. I'm seeing myself dancing for some reason in the YouTube stream from like a couple of minutes ago, and it just distracted me. So yeah, when I was at Microsoft, I built an open source curriculum in Internet of Things. It got 15,000 stars on GitHub. That's not interesting. The interesting part is how I navigated a large corporation to make it happen. From my manager saying, I think you should do this, and then having to justify through a whole ecosystem of teams and groups to make sure I get the time to do it, but then to collaborate with as many other teams as possible to bring all the things together to make it successful. And just the problems, the learnings I faced navigating the corporation. And so it really is a talk about corporate life and how you can be successful in this case, developer relations, but in general, how you be successful about bringing multiple groups in a large organization together by defining common goals so that you can do these big impactful projects. So that will be mine. And yes, I might submit it to that conference for next year. Well, I might ask Clark to review the CFP first, of course, because good to have an expert on the team. And I promise not to drop the mic when I give the talk as well. So, maybe I'll get it.
Well, so for me, answering that question would be talking about the importance of communities. This is a very important topic for me because all my story, if I see myself before being part of a community and after, I'm two completely different person. I was something else. I feel now more connected to a common goal, and that's why I try to, whenever I can, collaborate with other communities, build communities, and help building communities so that other folks can be part and participate. I did this presentation a few years ago, and as I said, this is something that's very personal to me because I'm very grateful for the folks that helped me be in the position that I am right now. So
I'm gonna hop in here next because I got to get going in a few minutes. If I was gonna give something that was not technical, kind of technical, but not technical, I'd probably do something along the lines of content creation and networking for career growth and survivability, especially in the climate today. One of my most popular Twitter articles, because that's where I write these days, was about how I got laid off earlier this year. And then in the span of a day, I was able to recover and land on my feet again. And I attribute a lot of that just because before I ever even became a developer, I decided to start live streaming on Twitch, and that eventually evolved into blogging and creating YouTube videos and growing an audience on Twitter. And I never made like massive independent money like, some content creators have. But it has certainly helped me kind of catapult my career a lot farther and faster than I ever thought would be possible. And it, over the course of doing it for 5 years, had built up enough of a portfolio or a backlog of stuff that I could refer to where I put myself in a pretty decent, spot in case something like this does happen. And it kind of like came full circle this year, which was really neat to see. It was terrifying, but it was neat to see it all come together.
Go ahead, folks, jump in, unmute, share
Yeah,
your talk.
So I have a story to share about my very first that talk. So I've given some conference talks before on kind of deep technical topics, primarily in the Python community. And yeah, for my first that conference, I submitted actually 2 proposals, one of which was a bit more technical. It was about database indices. And the other one was about the history of programming language, which is like a niche topic. And you don't get immediate value from that, but you get your mind trained to look at problems in a different way, just because you see how other frameworks, languages do it or did that even 30, 40, 50 years ago. So I had a lot of fun doing this. So I was like a little bit afraid because that was my first submission to that. So that's why I submitted 2 talks. And what happened was actually Clark accepted both of them. So I got that extra nerves. I'm like, okay, now I have to do 2. And it went well. But this this type of talk actually, to me, was the most fun one to give, because you're a little bit more free. You don't have like that pressure that you don't know who is in your audience. If you're like in an audience who is not familiar with the topic, or if it's like just a crowd of experts. That one was just like a bit more of a fun way to look at tech.
I know we're slowly losing people. Nature of the beast. But yeah,
I need to leave as well, because now here it's 9:30 p.m. So,
it's okay. We're gonna. I feel like this.
I will leave in the weekend now. Thank you. It was great seeing you all.
See you later, boss.
Bye, everybody. I'm also leaving, and it was great talking to y'all.
See you later, Sarah. I love this. It's like the natural order.
Head out.
It's definitely a similar vibe to the end of the night on the hallway track when everybody like knows they have to go to sleep, but they don't want to say it.
That's why I'm still here. Oh,
I think that was. I think my favorite one was what. I forget which night it was, but there was a night we were up far too late in the suite, and somebody was like, "Man, it's crazy how like we should really go to sleep." Like somebody made the comment about going to sleep, and I heard that, and my brain clicked, and I was like, "If it's not now, it's going to be 3 hours from now." And I was just like, "Good night," and I left the room because I was like, "I literally just need to go back because my kid's going to wake up in 4 hours. I need to sleep." But it's so painful; you cannot tear yourself away.
I'm really bad
the
at
night
that.
Andrew was asking all the hard-hitting questions.
It was, and the most wholesome conference
Oh my
conversation
gosh.
that I've ever had in my life. Nate Emerson, just absolutely just the biggest sweetheart in the world. Just like 3 a.m. and he's talking about how his kids have made him love the world more. You big old.
But you'd never
softy.
know that from his feed today. It's just all over the place.
No, I'm far less hinged on Twitter than I am in real life.
Yeah, so folks, if like jump in there, give your final thoughts, and then I feel like people are slowly disappearing, so we'll probably finish it off here in a minute. But yeah, anybody want to respond to kind of Mika's question there about that conference topic that you wish you could deliver?
Mine's is not necessarily a talk. I haven't thought of a talk for next year, but I have thought of a workshop that I want to submit next year. Specifically around like being like a pragmatic developer when it comes to like UI UX and accessibility. But I thought of like in the military we have what's called confidence courses. So like there's all kinds of people that join the military, and when they go into training, some are really good shooters, some are really good at this, some they just graduated high school, so they don't know what life is. And then so they learn from all these other people that have some type of experience, whether it's like farming, trucking, etc. Yada yada. And the confidence course, no matter what level you are, it makes or breaks you. Right. So I want to do a workshop that's very similar when it comes to like UI UX, for software engineers, because we know that software engineers, they build things, they're really good at building like the solution and acceptance criteria and all that stuff, but they're not good at really thinking about the end user. It's like, oh, this backlog item is good, check it off, send it to QA comes back. Some software engineers may be like, oh, I gotta do more work, but it's because you didn't think about the end user from the beginning. There's no pragmatism that's being applied. Not necessarily that you should do it all the time, but I would like to do a workshop that's kind of like a very confidence course. And then that confidence course is supposed to help that software engineer be confident in adding some of that to their workflow, not necessarily harping them and saying you're wrong for doing this. No, it's just to build up the boost and put some like a seed in their mind so that when they go out, they can start to develop that skill on their own and maybe build initiatives within their organization.
I love it. Yeah, and Adam Clark just put it up there. Adam's talk, when to move on, relating to clients, contracts, work, life, friends. Love it. Before we kind of get to the final wrap up, anybody else talks that you'd like to deliver? Stephen, Bruno, Shashi, Mika, like any thoughts?
I think.
Go ahead, Bruno.
If I was to give a talk, mine will be more on communication. You know, how to learn how to communicate, and I'll focus on don't be afraid to approach people and introduce yourself. Because you got the conference and you can go the sessions and that's it. But a lot of things, as everybody touched on, happens in the hallway track. Like at night, you are talking to people, you meet new people, you ask them about different things. Like there's a night I was talking to Shashi. I was asking a lot of questions about UX because I'm not a UX expert. I was talking to Jim also one night about how pieces works, what technology behind it. Yeah, getting yourself open, put yourself out there. Don't be afraid, because yes, not all of us are extroverts, but yeah, some are afraid to introduce themselves to people. But yeah, when you put yourself out there, you create new opportunities, you meet great people. Yeah, so I think it's a great skill to have.
Love it. All right, Shashi.
Yeah, I was gonna say one of my next talks will be most likely about how a self-taught individual boot camper, the missing pieces between them and getting their first job. I know I'm doing a project right now to tackle that, and there's so much learnings behind that. But on the flip side, there's so much learning for companies too on why this might be failing and why they're not hiring in apprenticeships and internships as much anymore. There's so much to unpack there that I feel like it needs to be brought up again. Like, okay, like what can we do to make this better? Because there's so many individuals out there right now in the market that are just looking for a chance and all that. And it's like, sometimes it's not just the chance, but it's how do you stand out? And on the flip side is how do you give these individuals that opportunity, knowing that you've been burned before, and how do you tweak maybe your program so that you can bring one or two individuals on to kind of test the waters? Because sometimes, like even in my program now, sometimes you bring people in, you're like, okay, I hope they do well. And then sometimes you get surprised, you're like, wow, I have a superstar. Like I would have never discovered this person if I didn't give them the opportunity. And this person could thrive and grow within the company. And then on the flip side, there's individuals that you feel like are very seasoned, but then they come in, they're like, oh, I actually don't know anything. I don't know how to communicate. I don't know how to like take this feature and ask additional questions to scope it out. All those learnings, there's so much to unpack there.
Love that. All
I
right.
kind of want to piggyback. Ooh, I'm sorry.
No, I was just about to say, Roxy, what's your talk?
I was just going to piggyback off of that because one of the first things that I'm self-taught of is being a medical mom. Like I was just kind of thrown in, and it's to the point where like every time we visit the emergency room, they're like, "Oh, are you a medical professional?" I'm like, no, I just had to like learn all of this stuff." And so I kind of think that goes hand in hand with, I mean, obviously you need more background knowledge, but you know, being a junior, you're going to learn like so much because you're just thrown in there. Like me going to conferences, making myself do this, immersing myself in it so that I can have a greater understanding of what goes on behind the scenes and what's missing. And yeah, so anyway, I would attempt to tie that into a talk if I ever had the confidence. Let me go to JB's talk. I have to go to Nate's talk to do that.
Mika, see,
mine's
what
a
about you?
workshop. Nate's gonna be a talk. A
Oh,
little
excuse me,
extended version.
I'll go real quick because it's almost nap time and I hear a screaming baby, so I'm gonna go help out with that. But if I had to give a talk, I would either give my talk I gave in January, because I gave a talk on confidence that's been mentioned, and that is something I believe in deeply enough. I want to iterate on the talk, like I actually want to get better and better at that talk. But if I were to do not a repeat, because also I understand some conferences don't want simple repeats, I think I'd go off the experiential thing that's been discussed a lot on this call and do a talk on doing the tech job search as a senior engineer, because that was me this year in 2024, and it was interesting. It was fascinating how I managed to both over and undershoot prep for technical interviews in certain ways. And so I think that one would be cool, where it's just kind of, this was my experience, and it's probably not going to be super indicative, because 2024 is a weird experience for everybody. But yeah, I think that's something I might want to chat about.
I love it.
And then I got to run, but this
All
has
right.
been awesome. You all are amazing people. Thank you so much for having me. There's my timer.
The track is going. All right, Mika, Steven, you're our final two final thoughts. What's your talk? 2025. No talk. It's okay.
I don't have my talk yet, but I'm really passionate about accessibility. And I guess I want to explore the reasons why I'm so passionate about accessibility, and hopefully find an angle that would light a fire under other people to really make that a priority in their development.
I love it. Steven, final word to you, sir.
Well, thank you. It would be my first talk if that was the case for anywhere. I would give a talk about how community is important early when you start your tech career, and to continue to maintain those relationships, those networks, that you never know what will happen later down the line, where somebody may have an opportunity or may have a project to work on that can help you boost you from where you were if you were just doing by yourself to now being able to accelerate to a higher place.
Absolutely. I love that. I love all these talks. What a great question, Mika. And I feel like this conversation, much like those 3 a.m. Conversations and the hallway track, this could literally go on forever, but I know most people have been on camera for like 6 hours. I'm about to go and do a 3-hour live stream after this. And so I feel like we're all like really just like, we love what we do. We love the idea of having these conversations and just like being able to share all of these experiences in so many different ways, either in our job or here on that conference after that session is amazing. If you're watching this and you're like, I don't want this conversation to end, go over, join the That community, go over to the That Slack group. The conversations can keep happening there. There's hallway track that Clark is running with lots of awesome people as well. Every single person here that's on this call right now has got a Twitter handle, an X handle, whatever you want to call it. We're all there. We're all producing stuff. We're making stuff. We're part of a community. You can find all of this stuff and all the keynotes and all this other awesome stuff on the That YouTube, depending on where you're watching this. Just Google That conference, Google Clark Sell, Google any of us, or just Google best conference in the world. It comes up, it's the #1 result on Google. And if it's not, then go and like click on it and convince Google that they want to change the algorithm. But I think we're sitting at like little past 90 minutes there. Clark, do you want to kind of final words here of after that 2024?
It's wonderful to be here and listen to all of you who have had such a wonderful experience. I get so busy, I don't get to participate with it. So it's a little odd for me to like be on the outside of the thing that you created that you wanted to participate in, and you're kind of just running around kind of paying bills and making sure bacon gets put out. So it's absolutely wonderful. Andrew, I'm going to link up with you so that we can do a few more of these. I have a better way that we can do all of these windows so that it's not so awkward. So we should do some more of these. It's nice to see everybody. Thank you for what you put into it. For all the hundreds of people online, like, so cool. Like, just keep jamming.
Yeah.
More of these to come.
Absolutely. And honestly, I know a lot of people have dropped off, but I know you're still watching. Y'all didn't go back to work. I know that you're still here and you're just behind the scenes right now. Thank you, everybody that was here on the stream today. I'm gonna do thank yous out on my socials and everywhere else, but like, genuinely, I thought that like it would be a couple of people, and the fact that we literally had to like find a way to do this because there was so many people interested in doing this, I think speaks to the power of all of you. You are the best people in tech, and I said it and I mean it. That conference only attracts the best, and if you're attracted to that conference, then you are the best that's out there. Don't question yourself. But thank you, and especially to all those that stuck around to the end. Like, this is it. We're here to share the love of that. We're here to share the love of tech and to show the power of community. So thanks to everybody for being here. Thanks to everybody for watching. And if you are just tuning in now and you're like, oh, they're ending, don't worry, you can go watch the 90 minutes there, and then you can go watch like 12 hours of this, like, or 18 or some some crazy amount of hours of content, and go do it. Go watch that content and then buy your ticket for that conference 2025. All right. I think
do what Andrew said.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think we'll call it for today. Thanks so much, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. Thanks for contributing. And we will see you next time around the internet. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Clark. Thanks, everyone.